Hello, everyone. Super excited to be here with you today. So we're going to talk a little bit about our 2026 Kilimanjaro expedition and experience for Green Adventures. And again, Tracey Seward, just very excited to be here with you tonight. And for those of you that are listening to this recording, I'm going to take you through what it feels like, the best I possibly can, to be on the mountain and what that experience is going to feel like. So, for those of you that are with us tonight, feel free to jump in, ask questions, come off mute, and let's go and let's make this a fun hour here too, if not a little bit shorter. So, tour date for 2026 is June 20th to June 30th. And I'm going to take you through a little bit about where this tour came from and how it originated and give you a little bit about Green Adventures, but also then, as I said, take you through step by step each day of what this hike is like, and also let you feel the terrain, let you feel what things that you need to pack, and um, and hopefully let you answer and or ask any of the questions that might be on your mind, but to give you a good feel for what this expedition is going to be like. I'm Tracey Seward, and I'm super proud to be representing Green Adventures this evening. I am the tour leader for the Kilimanjaro hike. I also lead our Peru expeditions and experiences, and I've also done, I think, something like 11 or more of the Green Adventures tours myself. And several of them in Iceland because that's a very big focus for Green Adventures. But just very, very excited to be a part of the journey that you may be taking, but also to be representing Green Adventures this evening. Um, Mission of Green Adventures, it hasn't changed since I've known Tara Short, the founder and CEO of Green Adventures, but it is to continue to inspire people to protect our planet, right? And to bring affordable and immersive adventures in semi-wild locations, and to always bring you up close. These experiences are all unique and different. They're not cookie cutter, and always with a focus on leaving the location that we've traveled to and in better off than when we arrived. There are a number of locations of different experiences that Green Adventures travels to. And typically this, you'll see these here, and there's always a new location, a new country, a new state that's being added. But the destinations here are typically something that someone has said, I'm really excited about going to. And Kilimanjaro was one of them. And then we make it happen. And so there are multiple states around the United States that Green Adventures does tours in. There are, at least from an Iceland country perspective, I think 7 or so tours that Green Adventures does. It is a location that I know is at the heart of Tara Short, the founder, and she loves to be there. And then, of course, several other locations in South America and in Europe. The dream, the Mount Kilimanjaro dream. This is Tara and I, and we were on safari in 2019. And I remember telling her in this picture, right, that mountain, see that mountain out there, right? I've been wanting to climb that mountain and summit that mountain for a minimum of 5 to 10 years. And that was where this all started. And that's me and Tara also saying, what do we want to do next? And the answer was, let's go to Kilimanjaro. And then in 2023, I think, is the year that we made that happen. It's only a crazy dream until you do it. I wanted to bring this picture to you and show you. This is one of our first times in and summiting Mount Kilimanjaro, but to give you a feel for the number of people that will be on the journey with you. So in this case, there were 11 hikers on this trip. And with that, we had 51 porters supporting us. So porters that were carrying, our backpacks, our sleeping gear, our tents, the cookware, and anything that we needed to make our hike successful and comfortable. We had 3 cooks. We had 6 professional guides with us that were all local and had been doing this, in some cases 400 times, summiting Mount Kilimanjaro, which is one of our lead guides. And so when you think about this, and you'll see this and feel this in one of the videos here as well, 71 people, right, to create this dream for us. So I'm going to take you through in the next few minutes here too, again, a little bit about what the geography feels like, the route that we take and why we take this route, what the trail looks like and feels like, a little bit about the preparation, and then we'll get to how to sign up and what's next. So first of all, the geography. I think this is important to kind of just get a feel for where is Tanzania, in this big continent of Africa, which obviously it does have some coastal regions as well. But where we're pointing to here, I'll get a little bit closer. Where Mount Kilimanjaro is the northern tip of Tanzania, right on the border of Kenya. And as a matter of fact, when you are on the mountain, you will be able to see, as we're hiking, you will be able to see into Kenya, which is also incredibly cool and beautiful. And in some cases, you see right through the clouds and down into Kenya. Kilimanjaro itself is a dormant stratovolcano. There are three distinct volcanic cones. Kibo, which is the highest, which is the one where Uhuru Peak is, and the one that we will summit. There is Mwenzi, which is a technical mountain. Let me push forward here so you can see that. Mwenzi is a technical peak off to the side here. We will not be climbing that. That is for technical hiking only. And then there is Shira Ridge or Shira Plateau, the third peak or the third cone of this mountainscape. We do hike through Shira Ridge or Shira Plateau on our circuit to Uhuru Peak and summiting the mountain. We choose the Northern Circuit route. I wanted to talk a little bit about that and take you through that for a few minutes and to tell you why we chose this route. There are multiple routes. I think that there are between 6 and 10 routes. Sometimes, they feel like one drops off and they're adding a new one. But this is so far the longest route. I heard that they may be adding an 11-day route, but this is the longest route, the longest circuit. It is the most beautiful circuit and the highest success rate of all circuits on Mount Kilimanjaro. And a big part of that is the fact that it is a longer trek up, and that allows us to have multiple days of acclimation. And in some cases, some of the days you may end early on this 9-day route, maybe, 12, 1 o'clock, depending on how fast we hike. But that is intentional and by design, because at the end of the hike for that day, we're going to get back to our hut. We're going to, play cards or we're going to take naps. But we're resting and we're acclimating. And that's I would say the key difference of this route. And it is also why we chose it. I think the success rate is over 95% on this route, the summit success rate. So on the northern 9-day circuit, I wanted to show you, it might be hard to geographically get a feel for this, but where we start is around where you see the Lemosho route marker here. That is where we start, and ultimately take our way and make it around the mountain, right? So we come around the mountain to the north, and then we will exit the mountain down, the final peak here as well too. So it's a bit of a circle around the volcanic peak. You'll see the peak here in the center, Uhuru Peak. So as we're walking around it, you can see into, the beautiful snow-covered, ridge there as well. The other thing that I want to share with you that I think is unique and is very special about this climb, that we will go through 5 climate zones as we summit Mount Kilimanjaro. As we begin at civilization or in Arusha town, right? You're not necessarily at zero or at sea level, but you start at around 6,000 feet in altitude, and then we begin the hike and we move into the rainforest. And then we move into the moorland zone, and then we move into the desert, and then the glacier or the alpine region. I'll share a little bit more about what that looks like and feels like, but ultimately wanted to give you a feel so you can see the different climate zones as we move up this mountain. So rainforest is where we begin and just about where we end as well too. So you can see here, it is absolutely like a rainforest, and we will see foliage and fauna in here that is like no other. Beautiful, beautiful green foliage. You will see, multiple species of monkeys that are in the trees with us as we're walking through. And then we move into the moorland in the center picture here. And I always say that this makes me feel like we're starting to enter into Dr. Seuss land. The trees, and it may be hard to see it in this picture, but they feel like Dr. Seuss characters to me. And but it begins to feel a little, deserty is what it's like. But it is the moorland, and you can see here as well that I'm in a short sleeve shirt. Right. So the temperature in this area could be between, 60 and 70 degrees during the day, but that could vary as well. Um, and I would say this last year, I did not wear a short sleeve shirt, not because it wasn't warm enough, but because I just wanted simply the sun to not be on my skin. But you get a feel for what the temperature is. And then as we move into the alpine desert, right, where you can see the clothing here, it's a little bit more moon-like structure, on the ground, rocks, moon-like rocks, but we're also in much warmer clothes, and we're starting to bundle up. So I'm going to take you now into the trail itself. Again, this picture is, as you guess it, this is rainforest still, but I'm going to take you through the trail in a few more photos. And before we get there, right, this is one of our lodges that we stayed at before we actually started the summit. And I think what I want to share with you as I move forward here is just the typical nature. If you can see and hear this video, it's just, this is what the experience for us is like every single day. We are a family, a unit. There's a lot of, play. There is singing and dancing, but it's just some of my favorite part about the culture of Africa, that this is what we would expect. So again, still rainforest here. And you can see here, we're exiting the rainforest. So it's starting to change again. I'm in that short sleeve shirt, but you're starting to see that it feels a little bit more, less canopy, definitely no canopy at this moment. And we're starting to move into what you're ultimately going to see is, a whole lot less foliage. This is a day that we arrived into the camp a little bit early, and as a team and as a unit, we did a yoga session. This was a yoga instructor, and we took advantage of that. But again, just demonstrating. What you'll see off to the right here is our lunch tent, our lunch and dinner tent, much larger than the tents that we sleep in. But we've got the time as we get back to each of our campsites to relax, to interact, to take a nap, get our stuff ready for the next day, to unpack, to repack. And again, that is all part of the process to acclimate and take this slow. These are our tents, what they look like on the side of the mountain here. And I think the other thing I'll share with you here, the question I just had in the chat as well too, is how difficult is this hike? And so this photo is in here because what I would say is it is a very easy and achievable hike the majority of the days. There is a little bit of scrambling, which you're seeing here, and a little bit of rocks, and that happened on a couple of different days. And the toughest part is what we train for, and the 6 months before, 3 to 6 months before we hike, but also what we're training for every single day that we're hiking up to the summit day. So summit evening and summit day. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in a moment. But in general, the hike is incredibly achievable. Someone also asked me the same question: what's the average age of those that hike Mount Kilimanjaro? We've had late 30-year-olds on the trip with us, and last year our oldest guest was 74 years old. So it is a wide range of ages that take this trip with us, and it's an incredible experience. So I want to take a couple of minutes here, and I want to talk about the summit because this is always the question that I get is, actually, how hard is it? And then what is that summit date? What does it actually look like? And when we are, this is essentially sharing with you that this is Summit Eve, and we arrive at the last hut around between 4 and 6 p.m. And I think we were maybe even 3 and 6 p.m. But that gives us enough time then to start to settle in, have dinner, get to bed very early. So retire and get to bed very early, get everything ready for the evening, because we're going to leave and start for the summit overnight. So we begin, we've done this a couple of different times as we've done this around between midnight and 2 a.m. And we start for the top. And I let this last year, we left at about 2, it was 2 a.m. And so then we ultimately, as we were hiking up the mountain, right, this is Kibo Hut on the left, this is where we slept the night before, and Gilman's Point is just about sunrise. But this past year, as we left at 2 a.m., we ultimately saw sunrise as we were still hiking up the mountain. So it was the most incredible, incredible sight to see. And it gives you a lot more momentum and I don't know, maybe enthusiasm when that sun is up. It's not only warm, but it's just incredibly invigorating. And so having the sun up, for me, it definitely was a big helper. So we, in this little video here, we are near the top. So you get a feel for what the terrain is like. It's very moon-like. And you also can see how slowly we're hiking on this mountain. We are moving slowly, slowly. In some cases, we are taking, a couple steps forward and we're pausing and catching our breath. But that is the way the entire summit day and summit afternoon looks like. So we reach the top Uhuru Peak, which is 19,341 feet above sea level. We stay there for about 20 to 30 minutes and enjoy just the incredible view, which you will see glacier around you and you can see as far as you could possibly imagine, and take our photos and celebrate the moment. And then we ultimately start the descent. And the descent itself is about 7 hours. So, it's a long, long day. It could be a 15-hour day as we leave the campsite overnight and we summit, we descend, and we get to our next campsite, which is Millennium Camp at 12,000 feet. That's a substantial difference in altitude, obviously. So we get up and we get down to 12,000 feet, and then we are there to sleep the night. I want to show you as well what the descent is like, because I get that question a lot as well. Is I hear that there is what it feels like sand or scree on the descent, and that is absolutely true for hours. So as we start moving down the mountain, we are moving through this scree. Sometimes people are sliding a little bit through the scree for a few hours, and it is challenging. And as soon as we get through the scree, we then move back into more of the flatter land as we get to 12,000 feet. So after that really, really long day, ascending, descending, we rest in Millennium Camp, and then we hike one last day down back through the rest of the hike, down through the rainforest, and we have a celebration back at the hotel in which we started. And it is the best shower possible, and washing your hair and just feeling incredible. But it is an incredible moment just to celebrate as well, the achievement that we just made. So I'm going to take us through a couple more slides and then we can pause for questions. But I want to take you through the things that I get a lot, the concerns or maybe the worries of people as well is altitude. Gosh, I've heard about how hard this altitude thing can be, as well as the physical fitness. But I'm going to take you through some of that. I'm going to also take you through what the accommodations look like, and then we'll end on what you need to do next to get signed up for this trip. So let's talk a little bit about altitude. I think that I get the question a lot. Well, what could I do to prepare? What could I have done differently because I struggled with altitude. Every single individual's the way that they react to altitude is different and it's not predictable. And so, I've seen some of the most fit athletes have struggled with altitude, and I've seen some that haven't. And I've seen lesser fit people that have had absolutely no issues with altitude. So you can't really even pinpoint and say that, this is exactly what's going to happen. I've had people who have said, I've had no issues. I live in, Colorado, and I haven't had issues. I've seen I've seen that to be true, and then I've seen it not to be true. So the thing that I want to leave you with is, and not to create any fear in you as well, but it's ultimately to understand altitude sickness, to do what you can to prevent it, and to know what we're doing to help you through it as well too. So symptoms typically, and I notice that it happens to me as soon as I land at altitude. If I'm going to Peru, Cusco, that's 11,000 feet at landing. I'm a little bit lightheaded, and I might have a headache for the first couple of days as well too. Those are very typical signs and signals, and they're just annoying. Nausea, a little bit of nausea, maybe fatigue. You want to rest, maybe some difficulty sleeping. Again, those are mild symptoms of altitude sickness. They are not, they're not life-threatening. They're just annoying. And but just to be aware that that could happen to you as well too. And then there are definitely advanced stages that we're watching for every single day on the mountain. The preparation, I have a lot of people that say to me, should I be wearing the mask? Should I do altitude training? It's completely up to you. I don't do that. I don't know that you see lots of mixed reviews out there about effectiveness. Um, so that's up to you, but I do not believe that it's necessary. But the things that we want you to prepare for are ensuring that you've received clearance from your doctor. There are definitely certain things and ailments, and that would not be conducive to putting yourself into and under the strain of the mountain. So that is first and foremost. You may consider taking an altitude prevention medicine like Diamox. I recommend it, but I also want to say that the acclimation that we do on the hike itself is the slow hike up at altitude is part of the acclimatization, so that you can minimize any of your altitude sickness signs. So that's part of what's built in naturally, and that is where you will have the best and most natural prevention of the altitude sickness. And then of course, I always say as well, 6 to 8 weeks physical fitness. I would say even more, 3 to 6 months would be great. Um, and then I think from the prevention standpoint, just to close out on that, hydration, you need water. And I have found that when my head is hurting and I know it's a little bit of the altitude, excuse me, the more water that I drink, the better that I feel. And so water with electrolytes, definitely recommended at least 3 liters a day, and you'll have that in your hydration pack as well. Rest, sleep, and then we're always taking the pulse ox every single day. We'll test your finger and see how you're acclimating. We'll ask you how you feel. We'll be watching how you feel. So again, we're on it and we're thinking about it every single step of this journey. The other thing that I get asked a lot as well too is, how strenuous is this? And we've talked a little bit about it, and I wanted to show you some of the pictures and what to expect along the way as well too. But you do need to prepare for this mountain. You do need to be have a baseline fitness. Being able to walk 6 to 8 hours a day. Remember, this is all in preparation as well for that really long day that we have, which is a potential 15-hour day on summit day. but you want to prepare for that. You want to have hikes, you want to have walks, treadmill, running, and be able to carry a 20 to 30 pound backpack as well too. It's funny, yeah, definitely, 6 months, I say here that I would suggest the training begins. I think that a mix of cardio, cycling, if you're a runner, if you're a walker, hiker, with strength training, and then some yoga as well too, so you can continue to keep your limbs and your body nimble and flexible, I think are important. The other thing that we suggest as well too, it's very good for me, is to create some sort of or sign up for an event. It's for me, it's a milestone, and it's something that I then stay very motivated to, and my training plan keeps me aligned. So sign up for a 5K, a 5K walk, a 5K run, maybe a cycling event. Uh, Create a training plan, and we can help with that as well too. And then train as a group. That's another, or a partner. That's incredibly helpful as well. I set up a Strava group each year so that we can motivate and train and celebrate together. That's optional, but that I have found people really do enjoy that and are cheering each other on. Camp life, right? So the tents here on the left, right, we sell this trip as a double occupancy. So there are on the left here, you don't see a second person sitting beside me in this tent. There is one taking the picture, but there are two sleeping pads lined up there. But there is still room on each side of us and in front and back of us for us to put our bags. So there is room, it's cozy. But you also have the opportunity to upgrade your tent into a single tent, and that's something that we could talk about and we offer as well. Water purification, the water is boiled. All of the water is boiled. You, as I mentioned, will be drinking a lot of water. So it is boiled. And I also recommend, I do this is a picture of a SteriPen, and that is a pen that, you can insert into the water, and ultimately, that will kill a lot of the bacteria if the bacteria still exists. You could take iodine tablets, again, not required, but just an extra precaution. And then at each of our campsites as well, there are bathrooms. So we will have a bathroom tent at each of our campsites with a small portable toilet, and that will be available to us every single day that we arrive at our campsite until we leave the next morning. So mountain meals, it's plentiful, and I think they're just incredibly amazing and always surprise me. And I think the other thing that I would mention here too, 2 points, is I always get asked the question, I have special dietary needs, and can you accommodate that? And the answer is absolutely yes. And we have this on every single one of our trips. They're someone with an allergy or someone with a strict dietary restriction, we accommodate that. There are also snacks along the way and on the trail. It's one of my favorite notions and memories and images is, I think about, a long day's hike or a few hours of hike or whatever it is, and I turn the corner in the ridge, and there is this picnic or this, card table like set up, or maybe it's even a tablecloth on some rocks, depending on what they brought out that day. But they've set up hot water for tea, for hot chocolate, there's popcorn, there's nuts. It's just glorious. I also recommend though, and this is part of our packing list as well too, is you bring your own snacks. And I always get asked that question, can we bring our own? Absolutely yes. Bring what you love and bring along the things that make you feel, as close to home that you possibly can. So you are more than welcome to bring snacks. So the packing list is just another a staple of what Green Adventures offers with every single one of their trips. This is not meant to be exhaustive. There is a document that we will send to you and share with you with a checklist of everything on the packing list. Some things that will be optional, some things that we say are mandatory. The packing lists are built based upon our experiences. And so, for example, just a couple things on this slide here that I'll share with you. I would never, ever, ever hit that mountain without my rain jacket, my rain pants, insulated down jacket, of course, hiking boots, trekking poles, and things like that. And we'll tell you what the mandatory things are, and then we'll also tell you what the optional items are. We give this to you, this detailed packing list. We give this to you, very, very, months in advance, because you may also want to be watching the sales that are going on at REI Backcountry, insert whatever place you shop at. Maybe you want to, you ask your family, it's on your holiday list as well too, or your birthday list, right? This is some, you can gift me this, or you can borrow it. You also have the ability to rent a couple of items as well too, if you don't want to have the investment. A sleeping bag, hiking poles, and there have typically, we've also done some down jackets, heavy jackets if you want that as well too. But we can always talk about that. So that brings me to the end of what I have to share. And I want to leave you with, I just appreciate, for those of you who are here in person, the questions that you've asked me in the background, but how do you get signed up and what is next? And what we need you to do is, I'm going to share with you again, this is the price of the 2026 trip, but we need you to get signed up to the wait list, and then we'll open up for actual sign up and for deposit if you're interested. So I would encourage you, as you're watching this, if this trip feels like it's for you, put your name on the wait list right now as we get this opened up and opened up for sign up. The deposit is $500. The trip cost is $5,100, and that includes, let me take you forward a slide. That includes a lot. That includes professional guides, the entire group of people that you saw on the slide in the beginning. It includes your lodging at a 3-star hotel, the beginning of the trip and the ending of the trip. It includes your camping every single night, 8 nights, double occupancy. As I said, the guides, the porters, the cooks. It includes me as your trip leader, 24/7 on the entire trip. Any of the transfers, right? So everything is included except for the things here on the right. Your international airfare, travel insurance, which I highly recommend. The visa fee for Tanzania was $100. And then gratuities, and then any incidentals that you have at the hotel, drinks and cocktails, or massages. A lot of people want a massage at the end, and then any spending money. So I am so grateful to once again be returning to the mountain. And I'm so grateful for everyone that joined us here tonight, and for those of you that are listening to this recording as well. And if you have any questions at all after you listen to this, don't hesitate to reach out to us at Green Adventures. We're happy to talk about anything. We may not have gotten through everything that was on your mind this evening, but I so hope to see you on the mountain, and just really, really excited about heading back to the mountain myself. Thank you for joining us.